Hello, this is Ben119 and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be talking about how to get into speedrunning Super Mario 64. So the first thing you want to do is know what version you want to play on and stick to. So there's N64, which is the most competitive category because that's where Mario 64 was originally made on. There's Virtual Console and there's Wii U Virtual Console and there's Emulator. So Wii U Virtual Console has got input delay, which I find a bit annoying, but you might find it alright if you're used to that already. Wii is pretty good from what I've heard. I used to play on Wii before I moved to Emulator, but you might have to use a classic controller. And then you got Emulator, which is what I play on at the moment. And the difference between N64, Wii and Emulator is that Wii has the least amount of lag, and then Emulator, and then N64. So playing on N64 is slightly harder because of lag, but playing on Emulator I would recommend as well because you can use pretty much whatever controller you want. So the first thing I want to talk about is how do you get into speedrunning this game. Play the game first. Now if you are getting into speedrunning, chances are you've probably played it before, and if you haven't played it, I would recommend completing it first. Because when you complete the game, you will learn a lot about it. You'll learn a lot about how Mario moves, all of the star locations, and you'll just learn a lot. Even if you completed it before, I'd recommend playing it again, but doing some of the really easy speedrun tricks. Now when you first play through it, if you are playing through it for the first time, don't worry about how fast you play it. It's just for fun, and you'll get a lot faster later on. And just have fun with it, I guess. Another thing I want to mention is all the different categories. So there are 5 main categories. There are 0 star, 1 star, 16 star, 70 star and 120 star. In my opinion, you should not start with 1 star or 0 star because they're both very difficult categories and they have very difficult tricks, especially 0 star. 16 star is usually the most popular category for starting out because it's quite short and there's a few, I guess, complicated tricks, but a lot of the star collecting is pretty simple and fast paced. Then there's 70 star, which is the second most popular category, and in my opinion 70 star is the best category to start with and the best category because of its length and the amount of stars and the tricks in it. You'll learn quite a lot from 70 star because of the tricks and the movement. It's just a very cool category to get into. You'll learn a lot and you'll enjoy it a lot. There's a lot of fast-paced stars. And then there's 120 star, which I really like 120 star, but I'm not as good at 120 star as I am at 70. 120 star is definitely harder than 70 star and 16 star because of how long it is, all the 100 coin stars. Just playing for several hours is quite hard to do at high level. And it's just difficult. You need to have a lot of game knowledge with 120 star compared to 16 and 70. So definitely think about which one you want to run. They're all different lengths. 16 stars around 20 minutes, 70 stars around an hour, and 120 stars around 2 hours. So there you go. Next thing is you don't want to feel bad about yourself if you're not very good at the first, because we're all not very good at first. You just get better over time. My first ever 70 star run was 2 hours 15 minutes and now my PB is a 52.46, so I've improved quite a lot over time, and when you get into speedrunning you probably will too. Another thing I want to mention is there are some tutorials on YouTube. I'm going to point out 2 now. So there's one by someone called One All Star Fan for Life, and he has made a 120 star tutorial, which it's a few years old now, but it'll probably still be helpful. I definitely watched it when it came out. Well, not as soon as it came out, because I only got into speedrunning 3 years ago. But I watched it for 120 star, and it really helped me with a lot of tricks and routes. Another thing you want to watch, if you want to get into 70 star, is Blue Bob's 70 star speedrun tutorial. It's more of just a showcase of a run and him commentating over it, and it's really helpful. I'll link them both in the description. I watched them as well. There is some 16 star tutorials on YouTube, but I haven't really watched them because I don't run 16 star competitively. I only have an 18-minute time in 16 star, which I guess is okay, but considering my 70 PB, I should really have a 17, but I just don't because I don't run it. something else I want to mention is that you shouldn't get annoyed at the game, because it's just for fun, and also you will get a lot better. Because I used to do this, everyone probably did this, but I definitely did this. You know when you're doing the first run or second run and things just go wrong, you just get annoyed. Like, there's no point getting annoyed, because say if you lose a minute in a level and then you do your next run, you'll be able to save a minute there, which is nice. Just don't worry about your mistakes, just think of it as easy time saving your next run. Because everyone starts somewhere and everyone makes mistakes. Like, don't feel bad about it. Another thing I want to mention is that certain strats you should and shouldn't do. So I obviously recommend doing beginner / intermediate strats starting out, mainly beginner. Do Lakitu skip, Peach's secret slide skip, that's pretty easy. Maybe do bomb clip starting out. I wouldn't recommend cannonless. I know a lot of people say do cannonless, but I wouldn't really recommend doing that starting out. Hazy Maze Cave elevator clip, definitely do that. Things you definitely shouldn't do when you're starting out is things like Lakitu bounce, pillarless, log wall kick, breezeless. Just a lot of hard tricks you don't want to waste your time with straight away. Because you will be able to do them eventually, and if you just play more, your movement will get better, your gameplay will get better, and you'll be able to do them pretty easily. Well, not easily, but you'll be able to do them a lot easier than you would be able to before. Plus, if you do loads of hard tricks straight away in runs, most likely you'll fail them quite a bit, and you'll lose more time. And if you just do easier tricks, you'll get a much better time and a much better understanding of the game, and you will improve a lot faster. A good thing you could do is just practice hard tricks, and then when you get to that point where you're needing to do harder tricks, you'll be able to do them easier. Because I know before I started doing pillarless, I actually practiced it quite a bit, even when I knew I wouldn't even do it in runs. But now when I'm starting to implement pillarless into my runs, I'm actually able to do it a lot better than I could before. Another thing I want to mention is splits. Now splits are pretty cool. You're able to keep track of your time, how far you are ahead, how far you are behind. It is pretty cool to have splits, but don't worry about it if you're not able to get splits, or if you don't like splits. You can just use a timer. Even on your first few runs, you might not even want to use a timer. You could just play through like normal without a timer, if that stresses you out a bit. Splits basically just keep track of when you're ahead and behind, and it is cool to have them. I'd recommend if you're starting out, just have a few splits in the major parts of your runs. Say if you're doing 70 star, maybe have one at the end of Big Boo Hunt, then one at the end of Fire Seed, then one at the end of Sinman's Land, and one at the very end. But if you are definitely going for a higher time, a lower time, that's how speedrunning works, you will want to have more splits, then you know more about how far you are ahead or behind, or gold splits and all that stuff that's important to you. Another thing I want to mention is top level runners are insane to watch. Definitely watch the world record, but also don't try and copy their tricks straight away, because even though they are cool to watch, they do much harder tricks than you would do starting out, and a lot of the tricks they do are mental. You just don't want to do them because they're way too hard. You can do them eventually once you get to their level, but I don't do a lot of the top strats. Even though I got a 52 in 70 star and I'm 6 minutes off world record, that sounds really close, 6 minutes off, but trust me, if I want to get to that point, I'd have to put in way more than twice as much time as I've already put in. Sorry, I can't speak right. So yeah, it's a pretty cool game. Definitely speedrun it if you're interested. Definitely give it a go. It's more fun than it looks. When I first started speedrunning, I just did runs a lot. I just did a run and then I just wanted to do another run straight after. So yeah, definitely do it if you're interested. There's nothing really stopping you, I guess, unless you don't have the game. Just make sure you have enough time to do a run. Like, don't try and start a run before you have to go somewhere or do something in real life. Definitely make sure you have the time before you do a run. Make sure you're playing somewhere you can concentrate, somewhere quiet or somewhere comfy. Yeah, just have fun with it, just mess around with it and see how far you can get with it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.